Islam and Modernity, Part 2. Human being is not the only living creature who lives a gregarious life. Many animals, especially insects, have a social life. They follow series of fixed rule and a wise, disciplined mode of life. The principles of mutual help, division of labor, production and distribution, command and obedience, order and compliance are in force in their social groups. Bees and some ants and termites have been favored with a civilization, discipline and organization which human beings, who consider themselves the noblest of creatures, would take years if not centuries to catch up with. Their civilization, unlike human civilization, did not pass through eras such as the primitive jungle period, the Stone Age, the Iron Age and the Nuclear Age. They attained the same civilization and organization that they at present have on the day they were brought into existence on this earth, and no change has occurred in their condition. It is only the human being, whose life, according to the Quran, and the man was created weak. For 28, begins from zero and moves forward without stop. For animals, the exigencies of the times are always the same, and do not further disturb their lives. For them, the desire for modernization and a love for what is new have no meaning. The new world and the old world do not exist. Science does not make new discoveries for them every day, and does not upset the pattern of their lives. Light and heavy technologies do not invade their market every day with new and better products. Why? Because they live by instinct and not by instinct. Human being, on the other hand, is different. His social life is always subject to change and transformation. With every century, the world changes for human being. The secret of human beings to be the noblest of creatures also lies in this. A human being is a fully grown and mature creature of nature. Human being is created with the state and the capacity of not having to stand in need of the direct guidance and protection of nature, nor of that mysterious power called instinct. Human being lives by intellect and not only by instinct. Nature has acknowledged human beings as being mature in mind and has made them as independent beings and withdrawn its direct control from them. All that an animal can do according to instinct and under the influence of unbreakable natural laws must be done by a human being with the power of the intellect, through knowledge and according to positive laws and the Sharia which it is possible to disobey. The root cause of all the corruption and waywardness perpetrated by human beings in the course of progress and development, as well as decline, degeneration, collapse and destruction, also lies here. Just as the roads of progress and development are open for human beings, so also are the roads of corruptions and deterioration not closed for them. Human beings have been given the status of carrying upon their shoulders, in the words of the Quran, the burden of trust which the skies, the earth, and the mountains could not bear. In other words, human beings consented to live an independent life and accepted the responsibility of duty and laws. By that very account they cannot be immune from transgression, ignorance, self-aggrandizement and wrongdoings. In the same place where the Quran mentions the unique ability of human beings to bear the burden of trust and responsibility, it goes on, without a pause, to ascribe to them their tendency to be transgressors, and ignorant also. These two possibilities in a human being, namely the possibility for development and the possibility for decline, cannot be separated from each other. A human being is neither like an animal that, within his collective life, does not move a step forwards nor a step backwards, neither moving to the right nor to the left. There is in human life sometimes a move forwards and sometimes a move backwards, and if there is movement and speed, there is also stopping and slowing down. If there is progress and development, there is also decay. If there is justice and virtue, there is also injustice, vice and degeneration. If there are manifestations of knowledge and the intellect, there are indications of ignorance and sensuality also. There is always the possibility that the changes and new ideas and values that spring up in a particular period may be disadvantageous and injurious for mankind. 1. Rigid people and ignorant people. One of the characteristics of human beings is their tendency to go to extremes. If a man has moderate views, he tries to separate changes of the first kind from changes of the second kind. He tries to move forward in time with the power of knowledge, initiative, endeavor, and hard work. He tries to adapt himself to manifestations of progress and advance in his age, and simultaneously tries to check the mistaken directions taken in his times and refuses to conform to them. However, it is unfortunately not always like this. There are two dangerous diseases that always threaten human beings in this connection. These are the disease of inflexibility and conventionalism, and the disease of naivety and instability. The consequence of the former disease is stagnation, stopping, and keeping back from advance and development, while the consequence of the latter disease is backsliding and taking the wrong direction. A conventional, inflexible person hates everything that is new and accepts nothing but the old, while the naive, unstable person counts every newly manifested thing as permissible in the name of a necessity of the times or modernity and progress. An inflexible person considers every new thing to be a corruption and a deviation, and the naive person counts each and every new thing as civilization and an extension of knowledge and learning. An inflexible person does not distinguish between the kernel and the shell, the means and the end. To him, religion has the responsibility of protecting ancient traditions. In his view, the Quran was revealed for the purpose of stopping the flow of time and nailing down the situation of the world exactly as it is. In his view, the recitation of the last part of the Quran, one writing with a red pen, using a traditional box, taking one's bath in a traditional bathhouse, eating with the hand, using oil lamps for lighting, staying unlettered and uneducated should all be preserved as religious observances. A naive progressivist, on the other hand, wants to know even new fashion, and new idea that has started in the West, and promptly follows them and calls them modernization and requirements of the times. Both the conventionalist and the naive progressivist agree in supposing that any situation obtaining in times gone by was a part of religious commandments and rights. The difference lies in this: the conventional person deduces the conclusion that those rights ought to be maintained and preserved, and the progressivist that religion is inextricably connected to the worship of the past, love of fixedness and stagnation. In the recent past, the problem of incompatibility between science and religion has been a subject of keen discussion and controversy among the people of the West. The idea of incompatibility between science and religion arose basically because of two reasons. One of them was that the Church maintained that certain matters of old science and philosophy were religious matters, and should, from the religious point of view, be accepted as dogma, and then scientific advances showed these ideas to be wrong. Besides that, it was also due to the fact that the sciences altogether altered and reformed the pattern of life. Religious conservatives wanted to bring the outward material form of life under the rule of religion, just as they had done with philosophical matters, giving them a religious tinge. The naive and the ignorant also thought that this was the case, and imagined that religion viewed the material life of people as having a particular form and pattern. And when the material form of life had to be changed according to the judgment of science, science proclaimed that religion had been abrogated. The inflexibility of the first group together with the ignorance of the second brought about the illusory idea that science and religion were incompatible. 2. The story in the Quran. Islam is a religion which moves forward and carries forward, so as to remind Muslims that they should always be in a state of growth, development and evolution, but within the framework of Islam, the Quran compares the followers of Muhammad to a seed that is sown in the ground. That seed grows forth in the form of a tiny tender leaf, and afterwards strengthens itself and stands erect on its stem. It passes through stages with such speed and strength that farmers are surprised and joyful over it. This is an example for that society towards which the Quran points. Development is one of those goals towards which the Quran directs. The Quran lays the foundation of a society which is continuously in a state of growth, extension, dilation, and expansion. Will Durant said that no religion has called its followers with such strength as Islam has done. The history of the advent of Islam shows how vigorous and strong Islam was in establishing society anew and making it progress. It is against both inflexible conservatism and ignorant naivety. The danger which threatens Islam comes both from the region of the first group and from the region of the latter group, the conservatives, the inflexibly minded, and those who like to show that every old thing belongs to Islam, when, in fact, it may have no connection with the pure religion of Islam. Have given the naive progressivists an excuse to count Islam against development in its true sense. On the other hand, the imitation, fashion-worshipping, and aping of the West, and the belief that the prosperity of Eastern people lies in their being physically and spiritually, outwardly and inwardly, westernized, gives the naive people the idea that they should take on all of the customs, manners, and traditions of the West, that the civil and social laws should all be made to conform to Western laws. They make the conservative group look pessimistically at everything new and consider it a danger for their religion, their independence, and their national and social status. In the middle of all this, it is Islam that can amend the mistakes of both groups. The attitude of the conservatives gives good cause for the assaults and attacks of the progressivists, and the stupidities of the progressivists make the conservatives all the more adamant. It is strange that the apparently civilized progressivists suppose that time cannot produce mistakes and errors. Do they think that the changes of time are brought about not by man, but by some other being? Since when and from what date has mankind become entirely infallible and thus made the changes of time free from any error or mistake? Just as human being makes new discoveries in every age for the benefit of humanity under the influence of his scientific, moral, aesthetic, and religious inclinations, so he is also under the influence of his egotism, ambition, sensuality, and greed for wealth and exploitation. Just as man is successful in making new inventions and finding out better ways and means of living, he is also, from time to time, liable to make errors and mistakes. Anyhow, the self-centered progressivist does not understand these words. He always repeats his cliché that the world today is what it is. What is even stranger is that these people think of the fundamentals of life in the same way they think of their shoes, hats, and clothes. Just as shoes and hats are once new and then become worn out and have value when new and just out of the factory and must be purchased then, but must be cast away when they are old, so all the realities of the universe are like this. The idea of these naive progressivists in respect of the good and bad of a thing is nothing except its being new or old. According of them, feudalism, that is to say, some powerful man unlawfully and forcibly calling himself a master, establishing himself comfortably while hundreds of hands work in order to feed that mouth, is bad, not in itself, but because it has now become outdated and the world today does not accept it. Its time is no more, and now it is considered as obsolete. Naturally. At the beginning, when such a thing first appeared and was brand new on the world market, it was good. According to them, it is bad to exploit women because the world today no longer approves of it and does not tolerate it, but yesterday, when the world did not acknowledge the right of inheritance for women, did not accept their right of ownership, and did not pay any heed to their opinion and views, that too was once new, and had then come newly into the market. According to people like them. Because this age is the space age and it is therefore impossible to abandon the airplane and ride a mule, to ignore electricity and light an oil lamp, to disregard large spinning mills and use a hand spinning wheel, to turn a blind eye on giant printing machine and write by hand, so also it is impossible to avoid dances, not to take part in bathing and picnic parties, not to get drunk and cavort around, not to play poker, not to wear skirts above the knees, because all these things are the phenomena belonging to the modern age. If these things are not done, it would mean a return to the age of mule riding. How many individuals have been ruined and what countless number of families has been wrecked by the phrase, the signs of the times. They say it is the age of science, the era of the atom, the age of the satellite, and the epoch of rockets. Very well, we also thank Allah that we live in this age and time and in this epoch and era, and wish that we may increasingly and in a better way take advantage and derive benefit from science and art. Notwithstanding that, a question arises, have all the other incentives and motivating factors become dried up except the fountainhead of knowledge? Are all the phenomena of this century the result of nothing but scientific progress? Does science claim that the nature of the individual scientist has been completely subjugated, made obedient and humanized? Science does not make such a claim for the individual scientist, and that is why a group of scientists and scholars can undertake research and make discoveries with the utmost purity and sincerity of purpose, while groups of power-hungry Ambitious and money-worshipping people employ the results of their scientific labor to attain their nefarious purposes. The loud complaint of science is always that it has become the object of exploitation by man's unruly nature. The preoccupation and misfortune of our age is this very thing. Science takes a step forward in the field of physics and discovers the laws of light, but a group of profiteers make the same discovery a means to make films with unforeseeably destructive results. The science of chemistry advances, and finds out how to make new compounds. Whereupon some people begin to think how to profit from this advance and cook up a catastrophe for the human soul and call it heroin. Science finds its way to the heart of the atom and harnesses its wonderful power, but before any plans for its use for the betterment of humanity could be made, the power-hungry men of the world manufactured bombs from it and then dropped them on innocent people. When a celebration was held in the honor of Einstein, the great scholar of the 20th century, he himself mounted the rostrum and said, "In whose honor are you going to hold this celebration, one whose talents have been the source for the preparation of the atom bomb?" Einstein, too, did not use his intellectual power for the preparation of a bomb, but the ambitions of another group did exploit his genius. Heroin, the atom bomb, and such kinds of inventions can never be accepted just because they are signs of the time. If the most perfect bomb were to be dropped by the most ingenious array of instruments by a model pilot on innocent people, the savagery of the act would not be lessened in the least.